Do you find it necessary that all humans have the same morals?
So is that just for Father Lucas?
Please.
Okay.
That all humans carry the same set of morals?
I don't think it's a matter of necessity. I think it's a fact. I think basically we are talking about a race that was created in a certain way, that was created to function a certain way, and therefore we're not supposed to do exactly the same thing with our lives in everything. We have free choice. We can go different careers, different relations, different styles. There's a lot of diversity and options you can have. But as far as moral principles that guide us, yes. It's like, you belong to a certain species. You are made in the image of God. There's an image, basically, an idea that you imitate.
Next question, Justin, are you ready?
Mr. Baker, you portray God as an egotistical person, in human way you would say an egotistical being that wants all humans and all creation to glorify Him. But what does it mean to glorify God? If we are just nothing and we are worms, what does it mean to glorify God in your opinion? How can worms glorify God?
Well, it's a good question, but the Bible tells us that we should. The whole of existence, the Bible is not a moral manual, it's a salvation manual. We exist for His glory, for His honor, for His holiness. He's the measure. What sane person would want to be worshipped? I mean, that's like a dictator. You must bow down. Look at the postures of prayer. They're the same as the postures of slavery. Your wrists are shackled, your head is bowed, you're showing, I'm no threat to the master. So, using the glory and the holiness of God as a moral standard is an inhuman thing to do. It's an immoral way to think. We should be thinking about what humans need and humans want, not about the ego of some dictator who needs to be worshipped a certain way or not, or else he's going to kill people if he doesn't, which he did in that Bible that you revere.
Okay, so we're going to have two more questions, just one from each side. I'm sorry to cut off the questioning, but and quick answers if you can.
Okay, is that on? Okay. My question is to Father Lucas. Having been raised LDS, I think we believe strongly in the absolute morality and that God is unchanging. But now at this point, as I look back in our own church and over the Old Testament and New Testament, it appears that it's definitely been changing quite a bit. And in our own religion with polygamy, civil rights, women's rights, and gay rights, how do we reconcile the damage that our churches sometimes do on society against our own belief in this absolute morality?
Okay, I think it's difficult to give a short answer to that. I would say there's something as a growing understanding of morality. I don't think that's a change, but more like a bud that blossoms, something that opens, and there's new situations. So there's a growth, but not a change like, oh, this principle or this ideal is not good anymore, we'll replace it with this one. I don't think in the Catholic Church you can sense that kind of change of saying, this was morally permissible, now it's wrong, or this was morally right, wrong, now it's right. I don't see that kind of changing happening. I think you have a better understanding of situations or new situations coming up.
Okay, last question.
Hi, Mr. Barker. I noticed in your talk that the basis of your foundation of belief is evolution, and I was wondering, well, Darwin he created it about more than 100 years ago. Evolution, he theorized it, and all he had is bare bones of animals and live animals. But today we have, in the last 10 years, we have nanotechnology. And now nanotechnology has given rise to actually seeing inside the cell of a human body, and it has the complexity of a Boeing 747. And the inside the cell is loads of bacterial flagellums, and they have gears in them. And if you take one of those gears out, it doesn't work. So could you give me a reason? I'm curious, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it's a totally different debate, though. It's not relative to morality. Should I answer the question, or should we?
Quick answer.
Oh, because
last question.
Yeah, well,
30 seconds.
Yeah, in 30 seconds. If it's true that He's walking out the door. Okay, if it's true that functional complexity requires a designer, it's also true that the mind of the designer is at least as complex as the thing that it designed. Therefore, by the same reasoning, the mind of God must have also had a designer. Evolution is the only way you can explain the origin of complexity, not by adding more complexity, which is just solving one mystery with another mystery, but by starting with simplicity. Evolution shows, and by the way, a cell is much more complex than a Boeing 747, but we can show how it evolved. We can trace it back. We can see, basically, in Dawkins' book, Climbing Mount Improbable, we can actually see how that happened from the bottom up. From the top down, you don't get an answer. You just posit something more complex to explain complexity. Theism does not explain anything. Evolution does.
Okay. All right. Turn this on. You guys can take off your lapel mics. We're going to do Ross. All right. Is this on? Everybody can hear me okay? This is our last section. We have no more time for questions. Thank you for all your questions. We're going to have a short 2-minute closing statement from each speaker. And then afterwards, I'll have some more words about what you can do after the debate. So first is Father Lucas.
Well, I've argued for objective morality in this presentation, debate tonight. I'd like to say that it's both objective and subjective, because morality encompasses both. It encompasses that inner world of values, of the things we love, of how we are in a situation, and both the objective world of relation with other people, of society, religion, God. I think the amazing thing about Revelation, about the Christian view of the world, is that we see how these both orders come together in the best possible way. When you see what God says in the scriptures, what God says in Revelation, how God guides us, the commandments, something resonates inside. When you see the life of great Christians who introduced these great, changes in society, who did great things for others, something resonates inside. You recognize there's something, and when and you recognize in those feelings, desires you have, must be something out there to respond to them. I think that Christian values is where those objective and subjective needs meet and come together. And those that moral foundation for Christianity and God creating the world and human nature are necessary. If we have no God-given foundation for morality, if it's only a man-made thing, if it's only our instinct, our best feelings that do that, when evil people want to impose upon us their ideology, their destruction, or their moral evils, what are we going to respond to them? Our feelings are better than yours. My instinct is better than yours. How will we respond to them?
Mr. Barker, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much. You're very articulate and a very kind man. I enjoy getting to know you. We disagree about a lot, and I think it's pretty obvious tonight who made a case. Lucas, and I'm just calling him Lucas because I actually am a father, but Lucas made a statement for absolute values. Calling somebody father is an unearned respect, by the way. I wouldn't call somebody reverend either, because respect has to be earned, not demanded by title. So it does. Respect must be earned.
8 years.
I think that's a fact. I made a case that there's an objective basis for moral decisions. Lucas did not. He did not make a connection. He did not connect the dots between what he thinks is this image of God and how we should act. He gave us no useful advice about how we should make moral decisions. Christians disagree about moral issues. There is no useful advice. There's no difference, basically. When it boils down to is there's no real difference between his life and mine. He is basically a practical atheist in his daily life. He's a practical humanist. He and I share the same human nature. We are both good people. We both care about each other. We both care about the human species because we are human beings. Humanity is the measure, not the ego, not the glory, not the holiness of some dictator who tells us how we must live. And even if there is a dictator who tells us how we must live, you fail to connect any dots to tell us how do we know what to do. If we're going to act in the image of God, we should all turn into genocidal maniacs in the Bible. The image of God in that book is an immoral book, an immoral being. There's no evidence that there's such a thing as a spiritual realm, but there is evidence that we are biological animals, that we can treat each other kindly, compassionately, with empathy that can be measured. We can cooperate. We can be social. We can punish the cheaters. We can deal with those who are mentally unfit or incapable of living morally. We can build systems of prisons and systems of self-defense in that to protect against the few sick people in the world who maybe do have some kind of an original sin and that their genetic makeup has something wrong with. I'm going to close with one equation here. Religion plus good works equals good works. Now solve that equation. You can do the good works without religion. You can have a good moral life without a God. You can have an objective basis without some absolute external spiritual standard, which more often gets in the way of being good. If you want to be a good moral person, you don't need an excuse. You don't need a religion. You don't need a God. Just be a good moral person. Be a human being.
Thank you everyone for attending tonight. The speakers, as well as us, the members of the Socratic Club, will be around for a few minutes to answer questions. Again, please be respectful of the speakers with any extra questions you have after the debate, just as you were asking them down on the floor today. If you would like to receive email announcements for upcoming debates, you can sign up for our mailing list in the lobby. We have free C.S. Lewis essays, if you'd like any, in a box where you can submit topic ideas for the upcoming debates. And also some additional club information will be up on the screen, so make sure if you're leaving right now that you check it out when we load the screen in a moment here. We have 2 debates planned for winter term. Our next debate will be on Monday, January 23rd at 7:30 p.m. new time right here in Mild Auditorium again. And the topic will be the influence of Christianity on Latin America, beneficial or destructive. Our speakers will be Nicole von Germerton, one of the panelists from our last debate, and Joseph Orozco, another OSU professor. I hope to see many of you there. And then our second planned debate is entitled Have Science and Technology Made God Irrelevant? And will be held on Monday, February 27th at 7 p.m. Probably here in Mild Auditorium, but stay posted for more details. And I hope to see many of you at both of our upcoming debates. Thank you for coming, and how about one more round of applause for both of our speakers.